One of the stocks that is in the news on account of earnings is Dreamfolks, and we've got Liberata Kalat, who's the chairperson and the managing director of the company, joining in. Thanks so much for taking the time. Let's start with how you see the numbers. How have they been? What are the key highlights that we should focus on at the start, Ms. Kalat?
Hi, Alex. So the thing is that right now, if you actually look at it, in terms of our revenue growth, right, in terms of the numbers, the top line, right, we have grown by 16.6% in H1. I mean, if I have to compare H1 versus last year H1, right? And also the gross margin is also, improvised from what we had actually done last year. So I would say that, I would like that, the focus needs to be on these numbers. Of course, the EBITDA and PAT are also important. But however, as we mentioned, even in our last earnings call as well, that right now the cost in terms of the employees has increased. So I would say that the top line and the gross margin would be something which should be focused for the company right now.
Right, Ms. Kalat, Mahima, this side, I want to understand that you've said a couple of times that your continued focus remains on growing the other services part. I want to understand what's the breakup right now in terms of other services versus your core services, and going forward, what are your expectations? Because from what I understand is that other services, the margins are higher, I believe. So going forward, what are you expecting, and do you expect margins to improve because of that?
Yes, Mahima. So if you actually look at the other services, we are growing. So if I have to actually compare it, compared to the last year, the half yearly, what we have done, we have grown, I would say, by 6%. I mean, the contribution, I would say, it's around 6.5% right now, which was around 5% last year. So yes, the other services are growing. And you're right, in terms of our gross margin, the other services gross margins are much higher and better compared to the lounges.
Ms. Kalat, you mentioned one of the pain points is employee costs, which have gone up. Can you give me a sense as to how chunky this is, and what is the anticipation going forward as well? Is this going to continue to be something that puts pressure on margins?
Not really, Alex. So just to give you an update that, when I meant that, the employee cost. So I would say that it's been 13 years for Dreamfolks, and we have never in the past have actually taken such talent. But I would say that this time what we have done is that we have actually taken, a team directly from the best of the colleges, from the business schools. And the thing was that, because of the other services and also the focus on other regions, and also in terms of the technology, also the way we were growing. So we thought that it was very, very important for us to actually now have the right team in place. So this was one of the investment what we have done. And I would say this was one of the time. It's not going to be that, this process is going to be an ongoing thing. We have already employed around, 17 business management employees, I would say. So I would say that, this is not going to be an ongoing thing where the expense would keep increasing, but this was one of the thing. And yes, as and when, the growth trajectory is there in terms of the way the volumes would grow. And of course, when we are growing globally as well, when there is a requirement, yes, we will have to actually take it, but it would not be the thing that, the cost would, you would keep seeing
Right.
this cost in our P&L.
Right. Ms. Kalat, you had forayed into the highway dining space, in the quarter gone by. Is there any new update that you've seen after, entering this space? Any kind of new revenues coming in from that space, or what is the development there?
So, for any new service, it actually takes some time for client to actually, I would say the onboarding process or giving this benefit to their customers. So there is a timeline for this. So I would say that you would start seeing this in coming quarters, but it is too early because we have just launched it and our technology is also ready now for that. So I would say in coming quarters, you would start seeing numbers from these services as well.
Okay. Give us an update on the lounges that you intend to add in the second half. Is there a number that we can have an idea about?
So see, this is an ongoing process. It's not that, I would say that there is anything right now immediately in pipeline, because as and when there are new lounges coming up or new airports which are getting renovated and adding new lounges, that would immediately be part of it. But I would say that immediately for this quarter or the coming quarter, I would say there is no such number or any plan as such.
I'm just curious, Ms. Kalat, what is a kind of experience on footfalls? Because this is anecdotal evidence, certainly, but a lot of people are now saying they because of the kind of offerings that are available at the airport as a whole, they don't necessarily have to go to a lounge. Give me a sense of the footfalls that you're seeing.
So exactly. I mean, I will also, say that, this is what actually the changes are. And as a company, we are also not just focusing on the airport lounges anymore. So if you actually look at the complete portfolio of services, what we have added, including into, I would say, at the airport itself, right? Whether it is the spa service, the meet and assist, or it's also now the F&B, what we are targeting, the duty free. So I would say that there are multiple services which are there. Of course, lounge is still a critical part. And I would say that even though we say that, people who do not like to visit the lounges or do not want to enter, but we still see the long queues and we still see the growth in these services. So yes, but yeah, the other services also has a great potential because we also see the interest of different passengers wanting to avail different kinds of services at the airport.
Yeah, point well taken, Ms. Kalat, because it is aspirational at the end of the day. And a lot of it also to do with the kind of offerings that are available on credit cards as well, and that is going up as well. I'm just curious, when you say that you are adding more of these services to kind of make your offering more holistic and to perhaps reduce your dependency on lounges, do we see the mix in terms of revenue change very dramatically? Can you give me a sense of what the major components will likely be if you head into the end of this year, and perhaps maybe over the next couple of financial years, do we see a more sizable shift?
I would say it's too early right now to actually have the shift, right? It would take some time, and I would say that it will take at least 3 to 4 years to actually see a drastic change in, a different service also adding or to the top line. So I would say that another 3 to 4 years, I would say that the other services would start contributing around 20 to 25% for the total volume of the business.
One last question, before I let you go, in one of your con calls, you had said that the targeted revenue growth for FY25 is at 20%. Do you still maintain that, or is there a change in that?
So if you actually look at, the way the spend base is being also introduced by most of the issuers, right? I would say almost all the issuers or all the clients have actually introduced the spend base. So to our surprise, I would say that, it was not just one of the case, but I would say that there is a second wave of the spend base also coming in. And I'm sure most of you have also realized that because there are changes which have come in. So I would say that there will be a slight change in the guidance what we have given in terms of if this second wave is actually going to impact the numbers.
Okay, so therefore, can you quantify that? Is that between 15 and 20%, lower than 15%?
So Alex, it will be too early for me right now because, the second wave plan is just come in, So it will be too early for me to right now give anything. But I would say that, yes, I will soon give the guidance as well, because I would like to give the guidance that, if there is a change which is going to come up.
Yeah, fair point. All right. All right. Thanks so much, Ms. Kalat, for joining in, for speaking to NDTV Profit.
Thank you.